On August 27, 534 AD, something happened that shocked the whole world, so much so that even the Chinese were talking about it. This wasn't the assassination of Julius Caesar or the fall of Rome. Something far more terrifying had occurred, and when we say something, we mean something. The year is 534 AD. The place is Indonesia. There was a series of volcanic eruptions that occurred in what is now known as the Krakatoa volcanic arc. As of today, there have been 3 major historical eruptions, each one causing massive destruction both to local people and the environment. But the eruption that happened all those years ago was something else entirely, so much so that the eruption caused global temperatures to plummet. Let's take a look at this ancient catastrophe in today's episode. Only in science. In 2018, thousands of earthquakes shook the Indonesian island of Krakatoa. It seemed as if the Earth itself was trying to release some pent-up energy. Little did anyone know that a new caldera would soon be formed. In August of that year, an eruption of the Indonesian volcano Krakatoa led to the formation of a new caldera. It emitted an ash cloud as tall as 17 kilometers. The impact was so great that even Australia felt its effects with small earthquakes. But this was just a small portion of what was to come. The year is 1883. The place is Indonesia. Mount Krakatoa has been rumbling for quite some time, and everyone knows that something big is about to happen. And then it does. On August, after weeks of unrest, Krakatoa erupts. The first explosion is heard 130 kilometers away. It is estimated to have been between 130 and 150 meters in height. People feel the ground shake beneath their feet up to 3,000 kilometers away. The explosions can be heard in Australia. Then the second explosion happens. It's 1,000 times more powerful than the first. A pyroclastic flow containing rocks and ash surges down the mountainside at speeds reaching 160 kilometers per hour. More than 36,000 people lose their lives. Waves 40 meters high crash into the coast. Entire villages are wiped off the map. Everything within a 100 square kilometer radius is either buried in ash or washed away by tsunamis. To put the disaster into perspective, Krakatoa's eruption was 200 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. What had just taken place was the deadliest volcanic eruption in recorded history. Now let's travel back in time to the year 534 AD. Much of Europe is under the control of the Germanic peoples. The Germanic kingdoms of the Burgundians, Visigoths, and Ostrogoths have replaced Roman rule. Clovis unites the Franks and begins the Merovingian dynasty. In England, the Anglo-Saxons continue to solidify their control over the island. But across the sea, in China, the Western Wei dynasty is ruling the land. This dynasty would later evolve into the short-lived Northern Zhou dynasty. The Sui dynasty would eventually replace them. All the while, the Korean Three Kingdoms period is taking place. These events seem vastly different from one another, yet they all took place during the same time period. Something monumental must have been happening around the world to affect everything all at once. But what? Well, here's what. In 534 AD, the world experienced one of the largest volcanic eruptions in history. Similar to how the 1883 eruption of Krakatoa affected the area surrounding it, the 534 eruption devastated the local area. Whole villages were buried in ash and pumice. Pyroclastic flows thundered down the side of the mountain at great speed. Yet the impact of this eruption was felt far beyond the immediate vicinity. Ash plumes rose 40 kilometers up through the atmosphere. They then spread across Asia and even reached Europe and the Americas via the jet stream. According to some historians, the fallout from this eruption even reached the frozen north. You see, when volcanoes erupt, sulfur dioxide is released into the atmosphere. The gas forms an aerosol layer in the stratosphere. This reflects and absorbs solar radiation, leading to global cooling. Some estimates suggest that the eruption lowered global temperatures by as much as 2.5 degrees Celsius. It's likely that this caused widespread crop failures and famine, which contributed to the decline of many societies. How do we know all this? Well, ice cores from Greenland contain a high concentration of sulfate ions from this eruption. The sulfate ions are evidence of the immense amount of sulfur dioxide released into the atmosphere. Each year, layers of ice are formed in the Arctic. The ice accumulates and compresses over hundreds of years, eventually turning into ice sheets. These ice sheets contain air bubbles from the time they were formed. Scientists can extract these bubbles and study them. They're like a window into the past. Bubbles from 534 reveal high concentrations of sulfate ions. These are produced when sulfur dioxide reacts with water vapor in the atmosphere. This proves that the eruption took place. But this eruption wasn't just one single event. It was part of a series of eruptions that continued until 544 AD. Together, they are known as the Samatran Event. Their impact was so great that they are considered one of the largest volcanic events of the last 2,000 years. But who or what caused the eruption? Unlike the 1883 eruption, which was caused by the subduction of the Australian plate beneath the Pacific plate, the 534 eruption was triggered by something completely different. Most researchers agree that the eruption was caused by the collision of India and Eurasia. This pushed up the Sumatran island arc, triggering magma to well up from deep within the earth. Instead of releasing the pressure through normal means, the magma exploded out of the surface, causing the catastrophic eruption. Even though this eruption was not as large as some others, such as the Tambora eruption of 1815, its impact was felt worldwide. Crop failures were reported as far away as China and the Middle East. But some researchers claim that the eruption may have also contributed to the Justinianic Plague. This plague killed an estimated 50 million people, which was half of the population of the Eastern Roman Empire. Others argue that it was actually the volcanic winter that followed the eruption that caused the pandemic. You see, when volcanoes erupt, they release gases and particles into the atmosphere. These form a layer in the stratosphere that blocks sunlight from reaching the Earth. When this happens, the Earth's surface temperature drops. This could have disrupted weather patterns and created conditions that were favorable for the spread of disease. But whether or not the eruption actually caused the plague is still up for debate. Some researchers claim that the eruption simply coincided with the plague, but that it didn't cause it. However, we do know that the eruption had an impact on the climate and the weather. The eruption of Krakatoa in 534 AD was a catastrophic event that had a profound impact on human history. It serves as a reminder of the awesome power of nature and the fragility of human civilization. But despite the devastation that it caused, it also had some positive effects. For example, the volcanic winter that followed the eruption may have helped to preserve the mummies of Egypt's pharaohs. The cooler temperatures may have slowed the decomposition process, allowing the mummies to last longer. Additionally, the eruption may have contributed to the spread of new agricultural technologies. As crops failed across the globe, people began to experiment with new ways of farming and new foods to grow. This may have led to the eventual development of modern agriculture. What do you think? Do you think the 534 AD eruption of Krakatoa caused the Justinianic Plague, or was it simply a coincidence? Let us know in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out our other videos on ancient disasters. We've done one on the Younger Dryas impact theory, which claims that the Earth was bombarded with comets and asteroids during the Younger Dryas period, which was a time of rapid climate change at the end of the last ice age. We've also done a video on the Chicxulub event, which was the asteroid impact that killed off the dinosaurs. Thanks for watching.